Hi, I'm Christian Lee. I'm here with Aztec Music Group for SDSU, and I'm here with SG Lewis. And so, would you like to tell me a little about yourself?
Yo, what's up? I'm SG Lewis. I'm a 23-year-old electronic music producer and occasional vocalist. I make sort of down-tempo, sort of electronic neo-soul, I'd call it, and I'm from London.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And so, my first question for you is, what was a song when you were a kid that made you want to make music?
Ooh, I think like it was a lot of the kind of Neptunes era, like Pharrell and Chad Hugo. It's a lot of that stuff, like records like even the first Justin Timberlake record. I know it wasn't even necessarily the coolest record at the time, but I think the production in those pieces of music, you know, like Snoop Dogg, Beautiful and things like that, like those records have just like stood the test of time. And I remember at the time I saw like a MTV documentary on like the Neptunes, and I was like, whoa, what's that? Because I didn't know what production was at the time, you know. When you're a kid you just see the singers and the rappers and you're like, those are the stars. But because I was always a bit of an introvert, I kind of saw that and I was like, hey, I want to do what they're doing. So
really? You're an introvert, eh?
Yeah.
You don't even sound like one. Wow.
Yeah, oh, thanks. No, I'd say most producer guys are like, you know, we're people that spend a lot of time in music studios by ourselves making beats. So I think naturally, I think playing live has kind of helped me come out of my shell a bit. But yeah, I'd say naturally I'm an introvert.
Right. Well, going back a little bit too, you were talking about the Neptunes and Chad Hugo. Mm-hmm. Is it true he produced your track "Meant to Be"?
Well, we worked on it together. So basically, because I'm a producer first and foremost.
Yeah.
So when I signed my publishing deal, basically the publisher said, hey, give us your like dream list of people to work with. So I gave them a stupid list of like Bon Iver, James Blake, Justin Bieber, Jereza, like just all the like ridiculous names, and then I put Pharrell and Chad, and then a week later they came back and they said, hey, Chad Hugo's up for working, and I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. So we got in the studio for 3 days, and on one of the days we made a beat, and the beat from Meant to Be. So I started the drums and then he played the chords because they're like super Neptunesy, and then so I came away from the sessions with that beat, and then I got back to London and I was just chilling at the studio late one night with my friend Howard, who's one half of Disclosure, and I played him the beat and he was like, oh, this is crazy, we should write a song to it. So he wrote a song to it, and then Howard was like, hey, you should vocal this, because we were kind of just that was the first one I'd properly vocaled. So then I ended up vocaling it, and so yeah.
Going back to Neptunes a little bit, you've actually met Pharrell too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How did that happen?
Yeah, that's crazy. So a guy called Scott Veneer, who does the music supervision for like Ballers, did it for Entourage and stuff. So he picked up Warm, which is the first track I put out, and he DM'd me on Twitter and he's like, oh, I'm going to put your track in Ballers. And I was like, great, what's that? I had no idea. So he was like, oh, it's a show on HBO, and I'm from London, and I didn't really watch TV, so I was like, cool, but I thought it was a really small deal. And he kept saying to me, he was like, are you ready? And I was like, wait, am I ready for what? And then it went out on the show, and it just like gave the track a huge boost. So then, so as well as that, he'd been playing it on his Beats One show. So Scott has a Beats One show with Pharrell called Othertone, and so when I was in LA, Scott hit me up. He was like, yo, you should come to the studio. So I arrived at the studio, like stood on the street corner, got picked up by Scott, went in, and once we went through, I had like no idea, but then Pharrell was there and he came up and I got introduced to him, and he said thank you for the beautiful music, and I just like I died.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the things that now like when I talk about it, it's like a dream. I can't believe it happened, but
sounds like a dream.
Yeah, I nerded out completely. Like I didn't play it cool. Like he was like, oh, thank you, and I just kind of went, so.
You actually have like the same pair of sunglasses as him too, right?
Well, I kind of just copy him as much as possible, basically. So yeah.
Music and style icon, you know?
Yeah, he does it all.
And we'll talk about one of the artists who blew up like recently too, you know, Khalid. Mm-hmm. And you linked up with him last year.
Yeah,
how did that happen?
Yeah, right. So me and Khalid, like, there was like a mutual appreciation. We just like listened to each other's music, I think, and we worked on some bits, and I don't think any of those will see the light of day necessarily, but we're, like not those bits, but like we're like there's always love, and he is an incredible artist, and he's had the most insane success over the last year. So I think like, you know, we'd love to make some music, but he's a busy guy right now, so we'll see.
You're about to follow him on that success too.
It's very kind of you, man. Very kind of you.
And so is it true that you watch anime?
Well, I'm like, if I were to say I watch anime, like I'd probably get the shit ripped out of me by people that actually watch anime. Like I was like a surface level, like Attack on Titan. Like I love Dragon Ball Z as well, but like but I'm very like surface level. So people that actually watch anime will be like, no, you like.
Would you ever want to like compose like?
Absolutely,
animes?
1,000,000%. Like I use some of those references for, like the visuals from something like Attack on Titan. I try and sometimes I try and use some of those scenes to like create a dialogue for the sounds I'm kind of creating, because there's so much epic scenery and stuff like that, and it's like it's fun because it's kind of stimulating for visually, and then that can stimulate your mind for music,
I agree. And so my last question before we move on to another segment is, what would you say was the first song of yours that blew up? Because I know back then, like, you had this remix of the song like Angel from like The World.
Wow.
Would you say that was like the first one?
Wow, you know that? That's crazy. I like deleted all traces of that offline. So wow, that's impressive. But that was before I'd even really decided what kind of music I wanted to make as an artist. I was just doing remixes as a 17-year-old kid. But I think the sounds changed a lot since then and stuff, and that had some support from like One Extra and stuff. But I'd say the first track that kind of blew up for me was probably Warm, but it took a while. Like I put Warm out, and this is kind of like I guess it's a bit of a nice reminder for any young producers or artists who are maybe putting out music and are disheartened, was that I put out Warm and it had a couple of thousand plays on Spotify maybe, and it kind of went, it like created some buzz, like people liked it, but it didn't blow up straight away at all, and it was out for a year before Scott Venner just found it and was like, hey, I'm going to put this in my show. And it's such a proof that like if you're just making music that you believe is good enough, then if it is good enough, then eventually an opportunity will present itself. Someone will want to put it in a film, or it will gain traction somewhere, but it doesn't always happen immediately. So yeah, it's a reassuring kind of story, I guess.
Right, yeah. A great success story right there.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm still, like if I say success or blowing up, it's still like low key. Like I'm still like starting out, but like in terms of my own success, I guess.
Okay, and so now this segment we're gonna do, it's more of a personal one. I'm gonna ask you more personal questions. Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
And so the first one, is it true that your dad was shouted out on BBC radio? How did that happen?
Oh my God. So my dad, I grew up in a family that really wasn't very musical. So my dad was came from a fairly poor background, but he worked really hard, and he sort of was very proud of his achievements, but he had the kind of attitude in life that you should sort of work at something you hate, and you go to work and you work hard and you get money, you provide for a family. So when I started making music and started making money from music, he was like, he's blown away by that fact, because it's just a world that he didn't even realize was there. So he's the most supportive dad, and he constantly he got Twitter, and he like tweets the Radio 1 DJs, and he'll request my songs and stuff. So basically one of the DJs, Farrell, like picked up on it and was like, he'd met her at one of the shows as well. So yeah, he got a shout out on the daytime radio, and I think that like made his year. So that was cool.
Yeah, no, that's very impressive. And so my next question for you two is, what can you tell me about Jack Adcock?
Oh my God, I'm so happy that's made it into an interview. Jack Adcock is one of my best friends from school.
One of your oldest mates, right?
Yeah, and he's a complete lunatic. But he's mad as a hatter, but he's one of the funniest guys on the face of the planet, I reckon. How do you know about Jack?
You're SG Lewis, I have to know,
Oh my God, I can't wait to show him this. That's amazing.
It'll be great. I'll make sure
Cool,
to
okay, cool.
Alright, so my next question is, which artist are you inspired by?
I'm a big Bon Iver fan, t-shirt. Love Bon Iver, I think he's one of the greatest musicians alive. I love James Blake, I think again,
great.
They're kind of like, they collaborate and stuff, but those two are two of my favourite musicians alive. And then Pharrell, I'm inspired by so much of what Pharrell has done in his life. So, and at the moment, on a less inspirational front, but just in like a fan way, like Daniel Caesar at the moment, I'm like obsessed with Sabrina Claudio and like Khalid and people like that. There's so much good new R&B coming through.
Going back to Pharrell a little bit, I actually have a gift for you too.
Oh, no way! Oh, is this for me?
It's for you.
I get to keep this?
You get to keep it.
Can I have a hug? Yeah, it's amazing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Clips. So it's Clips Grinding, which is...
And then there's another track on it too, Lord Willing.
Oh, Lord Willing as well. Shit. So yeah, this was like Clips' probably biggest single, which was produced by the Neptunes, Chad and Hugo, and then obviously Pusha T was one half of Clips, and like
maybe you could sample it.
Yeah. But my favorite thing about that beat is that like the whole song is just like
yeah.
It's like kick, like snare, and then a clap on the break, like. That's it, like there's nothing else in the beat. It's just there's a little chorus like blips in, but otherwise it's like the most minimal beat ever, but it's so hard.
It is.
That's incredible. That's made my day.
You're welcome.
That's so
glad you appreciate it.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And going back to, you didn't mention this artist, but I feel like he's a big influence on you. You actually mentioned him earlier in the interview too. You actually saw Justin Timberlake live last month.
Yeah, I did. So we were...
Did you get to meet him after too?
No, unfortunately not.
What was the show like?
Basically, we were down at Rock in Rio in Brazil, and it was like the most amazing experience. We were there for like 10 days, and we played at Rock in Rio twice, but Justin Timberlake was headlining another night, so we went back to watch it. The show was just like incredible. There's like 20 people on stage, and he's like dancing, singing, he's playing, but some of my friends actually, they went to get a drink, but then they like saw an opportunity and they actually managed to like sneak backstage when he was heading to stage. So they sort of like merged into his entourage, and they like all of a sudden were following him to stage, and there was a moment where the steps to like the stage were all of a sudden in front of them, and they were like, right, we can either follow him onto stage and then probably have like the crap being out of us by security, or we can like cut our losses and go. So they decided to let him get on with it, but the show was incredible, and like I'm fangirling the whole time, so it's crazy.
We'll have one last gift for you too.
Oh my god, it's my birthday, damn.
It is. Here you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite interview ever. Holy shit.
Is there anything you can tell me about this one?
Dude, what? Damn. Okay, Future Sex Love Sounds was actually more Timbaland produced, but but incredible, and like also there's about this record. So basically, apparently on the first record, Timberlake was more like inspired by like Michael Jackson and stuff, and on the second he was listening to more like David Bowie, and like he was studying like rock icons. And so when he went into the studio, he wasn't writing down a lot of the lyrics. He was trying to like go in the booth and just like deliver them off the top of his head. And I think that you can hear it in like the delivery, and it's like stylistically it's really different. But and I love one of my favorite tracks on there is Until the End of Time, which I think is like one of the most underrated JT tunes of all time. And yeah, that's dude.
That's JT in his prime right there.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad you like both of them.
Damn, that's insane.
And so this is the last segment. It's just some fun questions.
Okay,
we had enough of the personal.
Yeah.
So first one for you is, do you have any fun Uber stories?
Uber stories. I'm trying to think if there's any that are PG.
It's okay. It doesn't have to be
Let
PG.
me think.
Okay, let me try to refresh your memory. I do recall there's this one story about an Uber driver playing an audiobook.
Where? Oh yeah! Yeah, but that was.
Would you say that was?
Okay, so that was a part of the like maybe not PG. So yeah, there was this audiobook, and basically I don't know what the book was, but some 50 Shades or something. But all of a sudden the audiobook is like, and then she took her clothes off and like went on to this like mad sex scene. I was sat in the back just like staring at the window like, oh my god, this is so awkward. What's going on right now? But yeah, that was pretty weird.
I found some tweets of yours, and I just want to ask, what's, I'm going to tell it to you, and I want to see, what's your opinion on that.
Okay.
Like, explain it to me. So first one, this is from January 2017.
Are they my tweets?
Yeah, so your tweets. Q-Tip, if you're reading this, please do a verse on my beat I have. Hit me up. Did he ever hit you up?
He didn't hit me up, and like I went through every avenue I could, but he's Q-Tip, man. Like he's busy.
Did that song turn into anything else? Or?
Yeah, that was times we had with Toulouse in the end. So,
wow!
And we me
missed out.
Well, me and Toulouse had we'd written a song, but we were just listening to it, and I was like, damn, like just a 16 from Q-Tip at the start, because he flows on that 4/4 style so well. Like he's done stuff with the Chemical Brothers and stuff. So yeah, I was going in on the Twitter, like just atting him on Twitter, but it didn't work. So.
All right. So my last question for you, and it's if you were to have a drink named after yourself, what would it be?
Ooh.
What would be if I went to this bar right now? I say I want SG Lewis.
What's in it, or what do I call it?
What's in it?
Okay, so I'd say maybe start with some gin, Okay, put some tonic in there, but like gin and tonic's kind of like boring, so then we're gonna put some Tabasco sauce in there. And spice things up. I'm throwing ideas out here. I'm getting creative. Maybe some cranberry juice to like make it a bit like sweeter. I'm gonna say some lime. This is a terrible drink. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's your drink.
Let's put some booze in there. Maybe some Buckfast. Do you guys know what Buckfast is?
I don't know what that is.
Right, it's this drink. It's like big in Scotland and stuff. It's like tonic wine. It's like really fortified wine. So it's like 30% wine or something. But
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Very strong.
So yeah, maybe we'll leave it there. Gin tonic, cranberry, Tabasco, Buckfast.
Wow.
That's awful. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, once again, thank you for letting me interview.
No, thank you so much. This is like, I'm absolutely blown away. Like, this is crazy. This is my favorite interview ever. Thank you.
That's great. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap off too, where can we find you on social media?
So at SG Lewis _ for Twitter, Instagram. If you just type in SG Lewis on Facebook, you can find me. But yeah, Twitter and Instagram is the best place to go. My tweets are ridiculous, so I apologize in advance. But
and where can we find your music?
Oh yeah, yeah, the music, that whole thing. Spotify, SoundCloud, but mostly Spotify. I find it like I curate a really, if I say so myself, a really good playlist on there as well, called the Electric Relaxation playlist. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like the playlist is fire, so go follow it, and yeah, check the music out there.
You're welcome.
Wicked. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was SG Lewis. I'm Christian Lee, and yeah, that's it.
Peace. Thank you so much, dude.
No problem.
Thank you. I'm genuinely.